Hey guys, and welcome to the next episode of Terror Test Drives. I'm Panda, I'm a horror streamer, and in the series I am playing a variety of horror demos, indie horror games. I'm going in blind, I know nothing about them before I play them, and I'm taking you along for the ride. So today we're playing one called ELISSA, Body in the Bedroom. So let's go and see what it's all about. If you do enjoy horror games and you like my content, then please subscribe and leave a comment if you have any suggestions or anything to say about the game. And yeah, sit back and enjoy. Okay guys, I'm just popping a trigger warning in here. After playing this game, I've come to realize that it is a story-based kind of murder mystery and no graphic content whatsoever, but it does discuss suicide and murder, and I just wanted to put that warning here so that you know what's coming. It's done in a very tasteful manner, but in a kind of an old-fashioned murder mystery style. But yeah, trigger warning for that. Okay. Does this not have any sound? Oh, there is. There's the sound. And the cats come to say hello. Wesvin King has dodged reviewing my manuscript for weeks, always too busy. After some hesitation, I decide to go to his office unannounced. Inside, he keeps his head buried in another pile of manuscripts, never looking up once. I place my manuscript quietly at the edge of his desk and stand waiting. Time drags on until he finally picks up my work and begins reading. 200,000 words dismissed in barely half an hour. He looks up at last, his gaze drifting over me with practiced indifference. Oh, my sincerest apologies, madam. Didn't see you there. Should have spoken up. How unusual to see you out. You rarely leave your quarters, as I recall. Though you might have chosen a better moment. Rather inconvenient timing. You see, I was meant to review one manuscript, but now I find myself saddled with two mystery writers' works at once. Though I must say it's made quite clear what makes a true compelling story. That other piece, now there's something worth reading. As for yours, really madam, who would waste their time reading such nonsense? It's a bit harsh. That's a little bit harsh. As his words still hang in the air, he tosses my manuscript, Mrs. Davis's Afternoon, 6 months of my life's blood, into his waste bin without ceremony, like so much crumpled paper. I should speak up, show anger, displeasure, anything. Just one word of protest. Wesvin, you'd condemn my work so easily, but the words stick in my throat. One more thing. My assistant brought this letter from a reader of yours, it seems. Well, the illustrious MEL Gideon, too timid to open a reader's letter. Off you go then, madam. What? Best of luck to you. I love how this looks. I do really like the aesthetic. I had braced myself for Wesvin's rejection, but seeing my manuscript in the waste bin still hits me like a physical blow. This defeat stings worse than any before. His reputation in literacy circles stands unassailable. Even I, with all my bitterness, can't deny that. Each time he delivers one of his cutting remarks, that treacherous voice in my mind whispered he's right, and my indignation simply fades away. After that dreadful meeting, I've dropped the letter carelessly onto the sideboard. These days, I sustain myself by publishing short detective stories in newspaper corners, mere crumbs from the literary table. A reader's letter? How unexpected. Well then, let's see who would waste their ink on a failed novelist like myself. Several marks, like water stains or some other liquid. Envelope crumpled, as if hastily stuffed into a postbox. Dear Miss Gideon, I apologise for writing to you so suddenly. Having frequently read your mystery stories in the newspaper, I hesitated for quite some time before deciding to write. Recently, a member of my family has been behaving strangely, constantly locking themselves in their room. Not only that, but I found evidence that someone has been searching through my quarters. I worry something unfortunate may have occurred. In short, I very much hope you might investigate this matter. If you're willing, please come to Rotting Cafe at 118 Lanavia Street at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on February the 12th. I shall explain everything in detail then. M. As I open it, a sharp scent of spirits assaults my nose. If I'm not the mistake, it's the scent of Vaucher wine. That distinctive sharp scent of fermented bossa flowers is almost etched into my memory. Vaucher wine comes only from Croatia, my homeland. In Saran, one finds it only in select dance halls and wine merchants. Could they be selling it in Lanavia? A case for the police or detectives, surely. Yet they write to me? More likely some prank at my expense. After all, I'm hardly known. Still, it piques my interest in a way I cannot ignore. The meeting is today. I might as well investigate. It could yield some writing material. If it's a prank, at least it's an excuse for an outing. Get my bag. And the letter. Anything else? Papers cover the desk, each sheet filled with cramped writing. I spend most of my time in this corner. At times I get so absorbed that I lose track of time, only leaving the desk when exhaustion finally drives me to bed. This is my sister Gina's childhood portrait, one I have carefully treasured over the years. Mother and father had commissioned it for her 6th birthday. I'd been playing that day and lost track of time. By the time I rushed home, the artist had already gone. Oh, Mel, you should have seen his palette. It was filled with the most wonderful colours. Gina must have been telling the truth. Only such vibrant pigments could have created a portrait that still glows with such life after all these years. Nothing but black and grey, with an air of forced propriety. That's funny, because it's black and white. The same case that came with me to Saran, marked by years of wandering and the traces of my long travels. Even I've forgotten what's inside. It's locked with a password. Perhaps some flowers to decorate the room might lift my spirits. A ceramic basin for daily washing. For miscellaneous items. When I arrived in Saran, I viewed many rooms. I chose this one for the bookshelf, though the rent claims 3/4 of my income. Yet gazing at these volumes, I dare hope one day my own book might find its place among them. Oh, I like her. I mustn't forget my notebook. There we go. Where's my hat? I don't know. Where is your hat? Oh, there. This hat will do. There we go. Today's paper, but I've no time to read it now. My mysterious fellow lodger's abandoned meal now sports a coating of white mould. They rarely leave things in such a state. I should speak up if this continues. This weather cabinet has seen its share of years. I place a few bottles within, rather nice for the occasional evening tipple. A thin layer of dust coats the small sofa. No one has settled here in quite some time. Okay. Oh. Not that way. When I first took lodging here, I'd been the sole tenant of this house. Yet within days, another had moved in. Most peculiar, though, to this day, our paths have never crossed. This person is like a shadow, present yet forever unseen, sharing these quarters in perfect silence. I mean, how do I leave? A full-length mirror guards the entryway, witnessing my every departure. After checking mirror, leave. Stain on shoulder. Evidence of my last misadventure. Canary droppings from crouching in the shrubbery. My life as a struggling novelist seems to alternate between such moments of fortune and receiving peculiar letters. What a remarkably rich existence I lead. Face. Perhaps there's something disarmingly approachable about my countenance. The elderly ladies of the neighbourhood seem drawn to conversation, and once familiar, their requests take the most peculiar turns. Miss Mel, you're that writer, aren't you? Do be a dear and help locate my bird. I'll ensure you're properly compensated. The newspaper pays me mere pennies for my stories, yet these strange commissions come with surprising generosity. Though I wonder, is their kindness merely pity in disguise? I see it in their eyes when they look at me. Sympathy mingled with distaste for the odd woman who writes of dismembered corpses. But truth be told, I am indeed a failed dreamer. What if this letter is merely someone's jest? I cannot deny the burning curiosity within me. But is that truly all there is to it? Or perhaps am I secretly hoping it might lead to something more? Time to leave. Let's go. The cafe is sparsely populated with only 3 tables occupied. With half an hour remaining before our 2 o'clock appointment, I decide to observe my surroundings. Perhaps my letter writer has arrived early just as I have. The woman says, "Oh, for heaven's sake, we've been sitting here nearly 10 minutes and look at that fool at the counter. Hasn't once come to ask after us." He's always like this, dear. We only came to talk anyway. I'd like him to take my money and at least give me some water. Is the service bell just for decoration? Don't be cross, dear. At least the setting is nice. Let's go. I've had quite enough. I can't fathom how this place stays in business. She's a bit of a bitch, is she? As they say, having a hard-working, honest father uses up all one's luck in life. Look at him. Surely spent another night at the card tables. How do you know so much about that? Don't tell me you visit such places. Excuse me, has anyone been asking for MEL Gideon? The waiter lifts his heavy lids to look at me, weary-eyed, offering no response. His answer is clear enough. I notice the telephone rings continuously beside him, yet he shows no intention of answering. He ignores both the telephone and customers trying to order. A black lacquered telephone, its ring persistently disturbing the air. I select a seat near the entrance. The table still bears coffee stains and cigarette ash from the previous patron, with no one having bothered to clean it. Young man. An 87-year-old man in hospital, declared dead, his son preparing for the funeral. And the old man returns home perfectly fine and his son dies of shock? Heavens, if I use that as writing material, I might as well hang myself. Okay. They can't be my letter writer. The letter had carried an unmistakable sense of unease. The wall clock shows past 3. I've waited, but not a single patron has mentioned my name. Just as I'm about to dismiss this as a crude prank, commotion erupts outside. A crowd gathers at the street corner, pointing towards an upstairs resident. Isn't that Matthew Madden? Where's Liz? Why is he alone? Oh. I step outside and see a man at a second-floor window calling out in distress. Please, please help. We need more people. Mrs. Lawrence, thank heaven you're back. A stout middle-aged woman hurries past me, her jewellery jingling. As she runs, I notice her removing a ring from her 4th finger, a blue gemstone ring. Before I can understand why she's removing her ring, 2 men hurry after her. A thunderous banging echoes from above and then silence. Moments later, a man's deep, grief-stricken cry comes from the open window. Oh my. The crowd outside descends into chaos. Something dreadful must have happened upstairs. Unwanted imaginings flood my mind, making my heart race. I return to the cafe, tear a sheet from the counter notepad, write my contact details and hand it to the drowsy waiter. Excuse me, if someone asks for MEL Gideon, please give them this note. The waiter barely moves. I dislike mentioning it, but should you wake up, your coffee beans are burnt enough for the dustbin. Walk away. I like her. I like her. Reality only truly sinks in as I stand in Matthew Madden's home. This is my first encounter with death. The body bears no grotesque... Oh my goodness. This is my first encounter with death. The body bears no grotesque expression, just an unsettling pallor as it lies rigid on the floor. Under the collective gaze of the room, it slightly churns my stomach. In this moment, all my previous pretensions about murder mysteries, serial killers, dismemberments seem utterly laughable. Death, I realise, is brutally simple, almost absurdly so. Matthew Madden's wails pierce the air once more. From his wheelchair, he clutches desperately at the bejeweled woman, his crying becoming quite unbearable. Mrs. Lawrence, if I recall correctly. She offers me an awkward smile, attempting several times to extract herself from his grip, but to no avail. It's remarkable how such a frail man possesses such strength. Mr. Madden, sir, perhaps you'd like to dry your eyes. Thank you. There's fresh tea just brewed, miss. Do help yourself. I don't believe we've met. Who might you be? Oh, I do apologise. The teacup slips from my grasp, rolling onto his lap. The blanket covering his legs is thoroughly soaked through, adding to his dishevelled state. I hastily attempt to brush away the tea leaves, but he seems utterly indifferent, giving it merely a cursory pat before dismissing the matter entirely. I'm terribly sorry. My hand, it just slipped. Shouldn't you change? No matter, no matter. It's nothing of consequence. Seeing that Matthew Madden harbours no ill will, I turn to replace the teacup, taking the opportunity to survey my surroundings. It's a modest room with a straightforward layout, one door standing open. The body lies stretched out on the floor with 4 people huddled around it. The acoustics are dreadful. Footsteps from above and murmured conversations create an insufferable cacophony. When we got her down from the rope, the body, it was already cold. She's really gone. Must have been dead for a while. That bedroom door was solid, my shoulder's still aching from breaking it down. My Liz, why would you do something so foolish? Oh, poor dear. Everyone present seems to have accepted this as just another mundane suicide. I'm about to follow suit and take my leave, but since the moment I'd entered, a familiar scent has been tickling my nostrils, refusing to dissipate. It's the wine. The pungent aroma of fermented Pisana flowers permeates the air, growing stronger by the moment. In a discreet corner, I spot the distinctive triangle bottle of Vaucher wine. Mr. Madden, might I ask you something? Do you regularly drink Vaucher wine? I do have it occasionally. Why do you ask, miss? Forgive the untimely question. It's just that Vaucher wine is exclusively produced in Croatia. It's quite rare here in Saran, and I happen to be from Croatia. You know of it? No, not at all. I remember you. You worked with Liz. Peter Thiessen, isn't it? Yes, sir. Liz mentioned you, said you were a decent fellow. Thank you for helping to get her down. It was nothing, sir. His expression darkens further. Now then, miss, what brings you here? Well, I wanted you to see this letter. When I opened it, there was a strong smell of Vaucher wine. I thought perhaps you might know its origin. Matthew Madden takes the letter. His expression shifts from doubt to recognition. So you're Miss MEL Gideon. Did you write this letter? Indeed, M. That's Matthew Madden. I see. More straightforward than writing the full name. Though your legs appear to hinder you. You went to the cafe, didn't you? Did you notice the telephone there? So you intended to contact me through the cafe's telephone? Matthew Madden doesn't respond. He stares at the body on the floor before closing his eyes tightly. Then this must be the person mentioned in your letter. Yes, she's my sister, Liz. It's all because of those cursed things. If not for them, Liz would never have come to this. These things you speak of, what are they? If you saw Liz's room, you'd understand everything. Oh yes, it's horrifying. I've never seen anything so terrible in my life. Matthew Madden clutches his head, his expression tortured. I turn towards Liz's room. Now I understand their reluctance to approach the chamber. The makeshift rope still hangs within, fashioned from what appears to be clothing or bed sheets. Matthew Madden, there's something I'm not sure whether I should mention. Mrs. Lawrence's voice cuts through my thoughts. I am invested. I am heavily invested here. It has me hooked, guys. It has me hooked. Look, Liz's eyes, they're still open. I think it would be best to close them. They say if the deceased's eyes remain open, their soul cannot find peace. Really, madam? I suspect you're the one who's frightened. What would the living know of the dead's affairs? Wow. What nonsense, Groot Raber. I suggested it out of concern for Liz. The poor thing has suffered enough. I've heard that saying myself. There may be truth in it. If only my legs weren't... Mrs. Lawrence, would you help? Close my sister's eyes. What, me? The lady seems afraid. Oh my, I've never touched a dead person. This was your suggestion, madam. Don't look to me. I've no belief in such superstitions. I can't help. How cold-hearted, Groot Raber. Have you no sympathy at all? Oh? Never mind any of you. I'll do it myself. Let me. I can help. We speak almost simultaneously. Peter Thiessen gives me a startled glance, then looks away, falling silent. His behaviour strikes me as odd. Something about him seems strange. I'll do it. Thank you. That would be most kind. I drape my handkerchief over my left hand, and gently straighten her tilted head to meet my gaze. My. Oh. What? She looks young, around 23. Moments ago, I felt ill at my first sight of a corpse. Now I'm examining one at such close proximity. Quite incredible. But why would this poor girl take her own life? Perhaps the body itself might yield some answers. Face is damp with a slight unpleasant odour, unclear if it's the smell of decomposition. We did that. I mean, what else am I supposed to look at? Oh. The ligature mark on the front of the neck angles upward. Below it on the side there's a subtle bruise. Additionally, the back of the neck shows a ring of faint purple bruising connected to these marks. All fingers, except the thumbs, show damaged nails. Dark post-mortem lividity of the ankles suggests death occurred last night. Miss Mel, I understand now about the letter's investigation. I'm sorry to have troubled you needlessly. Mr. Madden, there are concerning details about Liz's body. Concerning? If this were hanging, certain marks shouldn't be present. The reason for the nail damage remains uncertain. Best to be cautious. The lividity matches what is expected. No inconsistency. In hanging, the body's weight pulls downwards, creating an upward or diagonal mark on the neck. These bruises at the back of the neck shouldn't exist. Perhaps the cloth was very tight? We struggled to get her down. Even with a tight binding, the neck marks should align front to back. But while the front mark angles upwards, the back shows unrelated bruising. Bruising at the back? Yes, and it's not from any blunt object. It resembles marks from violence. Mr. Madden, did Liz ever suffer physical abuse? Never. Nothing like that ever happened. Then I suspect Liz's death may not be suicide. Not suicide? Miss Mel, is this true? Steady now, Matthew. This lady's just arrived, doesn't know the facts. We all witnessed it. Liz's room was locked from the inside. Why else would your wretched house have another broken door? Those are the facts, miss. Suggesting this isn't suicide seems rather far-fetched. Indeed, though Groot Raber is disagreeable, I agree with him here. It's just an extra mark, likely from Liz bumping into something. Doubting suicide over this seems excessive. Their reasoning sounds solid. My suspicions seem weak in comparison. What should I do next? Persuade gently. Stand firm. I have no solid evidence to prove my suspicions or counter their arguments. Only my instinct tells me things aren't as simple as they appear. I've never handled such situations well. Should I give up? Just as I stood silent when my work was tossed in the bin? No, I've had enough. Mr. Madden, I agreed earlier that the letter's matter was settled. Now I must revise that judgment. Even if I prove mistaken, surely you want to know what Liz went through. baseless speculation is hard to accept, but simply ignoring this and burying her seems callous. Though I never met Liz, her death weighs heavily on me. The detail remains unexplained and cannot stand aside, so fine words, miss, but I've no wish to hear more. Nothing more for me here. Matthew, my sympathies. Groot Raber waves dismissively and turns to leave. One moment, sir. What now? Are you police? No, but you knew the deceased. I need you to stay and assist. Why should I listen to you? With that slight frame, that absurd hat. You think these will command my cooperation? This guy's a prick. Then stay and witness my capabilities firsthand. I promise this will end quickly if you've nothing to hide. If you're concealing something, well, that's quite another matter. I trust it's merely doubt in my abilities that makes you refuse to cooperate. Silence fills the room. All eyes fixed on Groot Raber. I look at Matthew Madden, who sits head bowed, seemingly wrestling with some inner conflict. After a moment, he raises his head and speaks in a grave voice. I understand, Miss Mel. Whatever you need, you have my cooperation. Only give me answers, as promised. Of course. First, please help ensure everyone stays for my investigation. Oh. Oh. I want more. I want more. Guys, so simple. Okay, I like that. I love the aesthetic. I love the artwork. I love the way it looks. And the story is beautifully written. Beautifully written. And I just want more. I'm invested in that story and I want some more. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember, if you've any other games you'd like me to try out, or any suggestions or any comments, then please leave them below. Make sure you subscribe. And yeah, thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next episode.